Warning, warning, this video is highly meta-related. If I slander your waifu or respondo during the duration of this video, I am not sorry. So, today we'll be talking about what S rank you should get from the newest upcoming Selector in Lucia Crimson Weave's patch. A few things to go over before the start of this video. I will be talking about these characters in a free-to-play stance, and I will be talking about getting these characters, not getting duplicates of these characters. Next, I will have you all know I am a global player, so if I make any claims about Gen 2 units post-Ayla Kaleido, it is mainly something I am doing based off information I have received, and ergo, may not be 100% accurate, but I would say it is relatively well informed. And lastly, I don't have a script for this video, so we're just going to start. We're first going to start with what I would like to call the Big 3 of the Selector. This Big 3 is very much like the anime Big 3, in that there's two very important ones, two ones that people talk a lot about, and one who are like, are they even in the Big 3? So in other words, Chrome is Bleach. So to start off with, I would say Imperia is objectively the best choice out of this Selector, because ignore Selena, because she's trash, she is the only Gen 2 unit here. Or let me just rephrase that to say that Selena isn't trash. She's the only good Gen 2 unit. And also, she's the only character who doesn't have a suitable replacement. Sophia? Where is she? Sophia here, even at SSS+, is straight garbage compared to Live Imperia. Whereas, although Garnet is a lot better than Chrome, Chrome is still a serviceable replacement due to the fact that he just needs base S to do Shred on QTE. So Liv is, in my opinion, the best choice, but there is a big fat asterisk beside that. In order for her to be the best choice, you need to have Lee Hyperreal already, and if you don't have Lee Hyperreal, she is only then the best choice if you want to do a Vera Garnet. After that, Vera is basically the best choice. Now, Chrome is basically the third best choice, for if you already have both of these characters, but he falls into one somewhat other niche. Just going to use this B tier here for assumed characters you have. Let's just say you started, let me check. You started Karenino's patch and you didn't pull her, or you started Noan's patch. Okay, let's just say that's when you did it. And so the S ranks you currently have is this. But let's say you got Imperia from your 40 pity. Or this also works in the sense where if you started before Imperia, but after Vera, and you got Imperia, and everyone else after them, such as this. Oh wait, wrong character. I'm not sure where you go. So this is what you look like. Then this falls into the very niche category, where I think it was actually a better choice to pick Chrome from the Selector. The main reason being that in the future, we get another Selector from Lamia's patch. In Lamia's patch, we basically get to pick a 100% rate up on the basic banner. So if you haven't been saving your blue tickets, start saving them now. And basically, if you have all these characters, or not even these two are non-mandatory for this, then it is still, I would say, the better choice to get Chrome from that, because that means you're not using Lamia's Selector to get any of these characters. And instead, you can then use the Selector to get Vera Garnet, due to a very key specific detail that I will go over very quickly as soon as I get these characters back. And that is that the Ice team, like, demands rotation, pretty much. Like, Plume and Ayla, like, Plume cannot solo the Ice team. Ayla cannot solo the Ice team. Together, they cannot even duo the Ice team. There is still a downtime between when you can swap to either of them, and because of that, you'll either be left basic attacking with either one of them, or you'll be left doing some weak pings with Chong Yu, or some random orb pings with Ayla Brilliance. In other words, Chrome is very handy to just sort out that gap in the rotation, because that is literally what he was made to do. Vera Garnet, on the other hand, is much less important due to a key factor. That key factor being that Alpha Crimson Weave, who drops next patch, can pretty much solo the Lightning team. You see, when she first drops, this would be the meta team. And even if your Vera was SSS plus, and Alpha was only S, Alpha stays on field the entire time. Now, you may be saying Lux isn't going to be around anymore. That is very much correct. So let's just say Feral Scent drops in. Even when Feral Scent drops in, as far as I know, unless you have Feral Scent's signature weapon, you do not rotate off Alpha. Alpha stays put the entire time, being the only one on field, unless these two are massively more invested than Alpha is. Say Alpha is base S, and both of them are maybe double S and have their signature weapons, or maybe not even their signature weapons. I'm not an expert on this, so take all this with a grain of salt. As far as I know, until Vera gets her leap, she will be staying off field unless you get her signature weapon. And going over that this is from a free-to-play stance, you most likely are not pulling through signature weapons if you want to guarantee getting every new character. So because of that, Chrome Arclight is a fine substitute to be here, considering his shred is only about 5% less for a couple seconds less. And since I don't have her, I'm not quite sure if her tank passive applies, where is she? When her QTE goes down. Because when her QTE goes down, she drops the spear into the ground, and that continually damages enemies. So I'm not 100% sure if that applies to tank passive, and if it does, it's pretty good, but it's basically saying Vera is not needed in the team. Because even though it is a damage loss to not have Vera, it is not as impactful as not having Chrome. So it is because of that why I would say, in that hyper niche case scenario where you don't have either of them, Chrome is the better option. Now we're going over who is utter garbage. Lee Entropy. If you don't have a physical DPS, you're going to be using that Lamia Selector for Bianca Stigmata. And at that point, like, why even build a physical DPS other than, say, Rosetta? Like, suffer with Karenina Blast, Watanabe Nightblade, or even Bianca Zero at that point. He is trash, don't get him. Karenina Ember. Utter garbage. Leap Palefire when leaped out DPSs her, and even Blackrock Shooter will out DPS her when she drops. Tenebrion. 21 at SSS already does his job and better, because her little cobot applies the tank defense shred whenever she's not on the field. Alpha. Garbage. Same issue as Lee Entropy. Bianca Veritas. We're literally getting Alpha this patch. There's no argument to get her. All these characters are pretty much characters you would only get if it's because they're the only characters you don't have. Now we're getting into characters that are not just for collection purposes, but actually have a purpose to get, unless you don't have everyone else who's going to be here. Starting off with Liv Luminance. Although Liv Luminance is a very handy part of the physical team at the moment, I would say she is not really worth it at this point. Unless you have all your other teams built and you have all the characters up here, I would say don't get her due to the fact that Elite is a very expensive thing, and Elisa drops only 4 patches after this patch. She does everything Liv does, but better. And so, unless you already have everyone here, and you've got the Elite mats, or you don't have the Elite mats, but you already have like everyone you need built, including your Gen 2 units, that is the only case you should get her. Pulse is another weird hyper niche specific case, and that is if you already have everyone who's going to be here, but you don't have Pulse, and you don't have Nanami Starfarer. But if you have everyone who came like pretty much before Nanami, and everyone who came after Nanami, it probably stands to reason you just don't like Nanami, in which case I don't understand why you'd be getting Pulse. Selena Capriccio also has a somewhat specific use case, and that is if you haven't unlocked her from Restivo yet, in which case, what are you even doing? Well, unless you were saving for this hyper-specific niche case, and then you're going to get them from there, and you're going to use your vouchers to get her to triple S. From a meta standpoint, this is an incredibly niche way you could go with Selena, and something I would highly recommend against, because it is much better to use your vouchers to SS Ayla or SS Lisa, because it fundamentally changes their rotation and how much damage they can do. Whereas Selena's rotation is not very good, because the Dark team is already expensive, which I will go over further in the future. So only if you need that hyper-specific meta niche case, but in my opinion, it's not that meta to go for it, and it would be better saved using your vouchers for this, or this. Unless if you're a light spender and you buy the battle pass, but I don't really go over that. Next is Rosetta. Rosetta is, I would say, of equal importance to Chrome. The thing is you should just already have Rosetta, because of either the prior Selector from Nonomax patch, but not everyone got her from there because, well, the physical team wasn't doing too great at the moment. I myself got Lucia Plume from that Selector. Or the Selector from Bianca Stigmata's patch, which, if you don't know, is a permanent Selector and can be unlocked via the guide missions. Now, between these two, I would say Rosetta is actually more important than Chrome, because the physical team has a lot more debuffs than the ice team does, and if you really care about, you know, about that ice shred, if you have an SSS Chongyu, and he's rotating in between Plume and Kaleido, then I guess maybe, but there is no physical tank that can match Rosetta in terms of shred potential, and for how long it goes. So for that reason, I would say Rosetta is technically more important than Chrome. If you don't have a Rosetta for whatever reason, I would get her over Chrome. But you should already have a Rosetta, which is why I'm placing Chrome slightly above her. Additionally, I'd say a reason why Rosetta is important is even when we get Elisa to drop, you still rotate with Rosetta on the team due to the defense shred she provides, as well as the fact that Elisa provides crit rate to both Rosetta and Stigmata. So whereas Chrome, when Chu Sugar drops, I believe you rotate with him, but there are niche cases where if Chu is hyper invested, you do not end up using Chrome. So that is why I'd say you'd pick Rosetta over Chrome, but you should have Rosetta already, which is why Chrome is higher up on this list. You can't see my hands, but I'm doing air quotes. Next is Plume and Luna. See, these two can go either way, but I am placing them in these specific spots. The main reason for that is Luna is the main DPS of the Dark team. However, SSS Watanabe Astral can either get very close, match, or in certain cases do better than Luna can. And because of that, there isn't that much of a case to get her, because the Dark team is already very expensive. I know that because I have a single S Selena and I have a single S Karenina. Yes, I pulled for Karenina. And it is awful. I don't have her Sig or anything. And if you're wondering why I pulled Karenina, that is because she is best girl, objectively. I will hear no other arguments against it. But basically, there just isn't that much of a point to get Luna, especially when she's power crept in 5 patches by Lamia, versus Lucia Plume, who is a little bit longer before she gets power crept by Chu Shakra. But there is one other case as to why I think she is a better candidate. Plume is not the main damage dealer of the Ice team like Luna is. Instead, that falls to Kaleido. And if you're pulling for Plume, you probably already have a Chrome. But Bambi, even though she can match Plume in damage, especially at high investments, or maybe do a little bit lower. My Bambi is only SSS, so I haven't tested it fully between their damage. But what I do know is that Bambi's rotation is a lot longer than Plume's rotation. Plume's rotation is relatively short, and that is the main reason why I think she is a better choice, because she shortens down the Ice team rotation, and that means you can get Ayla, the actual main damage dealer of the Ice team, on field for longer than if you were to, say, be using Bambi. So that's why I'd say Plume is slightly above priority for Luna, because of longevity, and just because she's not the main damage dealer, and the Dark team is very expensive. Looking at you, Karenina. So, either way, a quick little recap before the end. Let me just delete this. Imperia is the best if you have Lee Hyperreal, and if you don't have Lee Hyperreal, she's the best if you already have a Varigarnet. Varigarnet is the second best, or the best if you don't have Lee Hyperreal. Chrome is the best if you have both of them, or you have Imperia, Stigmata, and Lee already. in which case you should get him from the Selector, and Vera from Lamia Selector. Rosetta is a better choice than Chrome is, but you should have a Rosetta already from the guide Selector that came in Bianca Stigmata's patch. Plume is a slightly better choice than Luna, due to the fact that it helps you shorten down the rotation on the ice team and get Kaleido on the field for longer. Luna is technically a better choice than Watanabe Astral, but the Dark team is already so expensive. Luminance is only a good choice if you already have all the other characters you need in your teams built, or you just already have all of these characters, pretty much. Pulse is only good if you're missing a Nanami Starfarer, but you have everyone else on this list, and if you have everyone else on this list but you don't have Nanami Starfarer, you probably don't like Nanami. Selena is only good for the hyper niche case scenario where you need triple S Selena, and everyone else on this list is trash. Do not get them unless you're a collector and you already have all these characters. At the end, that is everything that you need to know about the Selector, who I would recommend getting. So, I hope you have a great day, had a good time watching this video, and remember, Karenina is best girl. There are no arguments against it. Alright, have a good day everyone.